Hey guys, so this is the HIDIZS S8 Pro HiFi balanced dongle DAC, also known as Robin. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you'll see that whenever I review an in-ear monitor, I always recommend that you invest in a portable DAC. And the reason I say this is so that you guys get the best audio quality possible that your in-ear monitors can produce. So this is where the HIDIZS S8 Pro HiFi balanced dongle DAC comes in. So this has some impressive specs and some very useful features, as well as a few things that they can definitely improve. So I'll get into the detail and let you know how this performs, but before that, let's start with the unboxing. Okay, so the HIDIZS S8 Pro balanced dongle DAC comes in a very simple packaging, pretty bare bones, nothing too fancy. Sliding off the outer cover, you get this very slick and stealthy box inside. Inside it, you get some paperwork. You get the USB-C to Lightning adapter, as well as a USB-C to USB-A adapter. You get a pair of high-res audio stickers, a USB-C to USB-C cable, and of course you get the HIDIZS S8 Pro HiFi dongle DAC itself. Okay, let's talk about the key specs of the Robin. So this houses two 32-bit Cirrus Logic DAC chips that cater to the two output ports, a 3.5mm port and another 4.4mm balanced port. Now the 3.5mm port outputs a total of 80 milliwatts at 32 ohms, while the 4.4mm balanced port outputs 160 milliwatts at 32 ohms. Now, these figures are more or less going to cover all the in-ear monitors that you probably own, but if you need something that requires more power, such as some high-end open-back studio monitoring headphones, you might have to look elsewhere. But for the general public, for our daily use, the IEMs that we use, for that, this is more than sufficient. It also has PCM support up to 32 bits at 384 kHz and supports native DSD up to 256. Now, the HIDIZS S8 Pro has a very wide compatibility list, so it's compatible with Android, iOS, macOS, Windows, HarmonyOS, and iPadOS. Now, the S8 Pro comes with 6 built-in filter effects that you can change on the fly. Now, the HIDIZS logo up front has an RGB LED light underneath that, and that is going to glow with the color that corresponds to the sampling rate of the music that you're listening to. And it also glows with the color based on which filter effect you're using. Now, as for the build, so it's got aluminum alloy on the sides and it's got glass panels on the front and back. As for the weight, it is just 17 grams, so it's pretty light and slim and doesn't occupy much space in your pocket. Now, on the right side, you have 3 tactile buttons. So on the top and bottom, you have the volume rockers, and at the center, you have a clicky round button that works as your play pause button. Now, to change between the different filter effects that are built in, you have to click on both the volume rockers at the same time, and this is how you change from one filter to the other, and corresponding to which filter you are using, it's going to glow with that color underneath the HIDIZS logo. Okay, now let's talk about what type of audio signature I got using this DAC through a number of in-ear monitors that I tested, and then I'll get to what works for this, and definitely a few things that are some drawbacks on the S8 Pro. Now, in general, it does an okay job, and it drove any of the in-ear monitors that I threw at it, whether it was using the 3.5mm port or the 4.4 balanced, it drove them with ease, so no issues there at all. However, what I noticed after using a number of in-ear monitors with the S8 Pro, it has a tendency to push the high frequencies, the ultra high frequencies, the upper mids, and a bit of the vocals a bit much. So talking about the high and ultra high frequencies, they were amplified to an extent where they almost were getting into the realm of sounding sibilant, and it was getting a bit harsh and shouty. And I know that the in-ear monitors that I tested with this, that is not how they sound, because I've tested those same in-ear monitors with other DACs and they have a completely different audio signature. But with this, it really pushed the high and ultra high to an extent that after some time, I just want to take it off. So it was sounding very, very sharp with a lot of clarity at the cost of richness and natural organic tonality. And the same goes with the upper mids, where whenever the vocals tread into the upper mid section, it got unnecessarily sharp and it made the vocals sound a bit hollow while sounding more processed, and it took away the warmth and depth. Bass was okay. It didn't affect the bass as much, but because the vocals and the highs were so amplified that the bass literally takes a hit in comparison. Now this is where I thought that if I shuffled between the different inbuilt filters, it would mitigate these shortcomings and make the sound better. I was wrong because these filters have little to no effect on the sound signature. So it's such a subtle change that you don't really notice it. It doesn't really take away the sibilance or the extra added clarity and processed vocals, and it didn't make it sound any better. However, what did make a difference was using the EQ from my music player or phone. So when I tweaked the equalizer to reduce the highs a little bit or used a preset EQ like rock or hip hop, that definitely helped the sound. It made it sound warmer. It gave a bit more depth and warmth to the vocals where it sounded a bit more natural, and it brought down the harshness of the ultra high and high frequencies. So that is something you should do if you're like me and you find these ultra high frequencies to be a bit too harsh. Okay, now let's talk about a few things that they definitely could have done better that would have made this very good package. So up front and at the back on the glass panels, there is enough space for them to include even a tiny basic display that lets you know the sampling rate or the filter you're on, the volume level, or any other basic information that they would have wanted to include. But instead of that, they've gone with the RGB light underneath the HIDIZS logo. Now, while that is a clever implementation to at least let you know, the RGB light is so faint that it is literally impossible for you to understand what filter you're on or what the sampling rate is by understanding the color, because it is not visible in broad daylight, outside, in a well-lit room. It is practically not possible for you to understand the color. So you have to cover it up in the dark and then you can understand what color is being shown. So that is kind of a poor implementation. That is one. Second is, the buttons, while okay and very tactile and clicky, the center button has a bit of a wobble. I don't know if it's just with my unit, but it feels like you can scroll it, but you can't, and it's a bit wobbly. So it doesn't feel the most premium, although they have these aluminum alloy rails on the side, which very honestly still feel like plastic to the touch. Maybe because it's so light at 17 grams, but that is something very minor that I noticed. Now, having said all that, apart from the practical design flaws, in terms of the sound output, now obviously this is me giving you my subjective personal preference. You might enjoy it, because overall the package is not bad. It's really tiny, fits in your pocket, can power any in-ear monitor you can throw at it, but it's got its own layer which it is going to attach to the sound signature, and that is my gripe. So personally, although I found it to be on the sharper end, which I didn't enjoy, you might have a different taste for sound signatures and you might enjoy it. So unless you try it, you won't know. But from my side, from my experience, I would have preferred a more neutral, natural, or warmer sound signature from the S8 Pro. Okay guys, just because I've said all this, that shouldn't put you off from getting either this or any DAC, because a DAC is still your in-ear monitor's best friend and it is the best investment that you can make. It's a one-time investment, but it'll help all your in-ear monitors perform to their full potential. Alright guys, so there you have it. That was my brutally honest and in-depth review of the HIDIZS S8 Pro HiFi balanced dongle DAC, huge name, otherwise known as the Robin. So definitely check it out. I'll leave a link of this in the description below. You can check it out from there. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any other questions regarding this, do let me know in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share this video with someone, and as always, I'll catch you guys very soon in the next one. Cheers.